Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lene and I'm a knitter from Norway. Today I thought I would do a yarn stash update. I filmed a video about 3 months ago-ish now, and even though 3 months is not a lot of time to do something with this yarn stash, it's also the middle of the year, so I just thought it would be a fitting time to do an update. And I have done a bit about the yarn stash and I have a bit of updates to tell, and also I thought I would talk about the plans that I have for my yarn stash now, because having it all like this out in the open has definitely been really nice for creativity and just reminding myself about the yarn that I have. So every time I look at it I kind of think about what I can make with it. But some of this yarn do not have a specific plan, so if you see some yarn and you think about the plan it would be perfect for, please leave a comment. I would love to get more of an idea or just widen my horizons when it comes to patterns. But with that said, I think we can just get into it. 3 months ago, when I filmed the last stash tour, I had about 15 kilos. I've tried to find a more specific number, but I don't really have one. I know it was between 14.5, 15 kilos, somewhere in that ballpark. And when I filmed that video, I'm pretty sure that I said that I would not be buying more yarn until at least June, because I really wanted my stash to be under 10 kilos in June, by the end of June, something like that. So I wanted to not buy yarn so I could just knit up my stash, and I failed that immediately after filming that video. I think I bought more yarn a week after filming or something, and I have bought more yarn since then as well. But I've added all of that yarn together, all the yarn that I have bought or gotten, or all the yarn I've gotten from unraveling projects, all of that, and I've ended up with 4.5 kilos, or specifically 4,575 grams. And I have a book here just with numbers because it's impossible for me to remember all these numbers, so I just have them written down. So with all that yarn I bought as well, my stash would have ended up at about 20 kilos, and that's quite a lot. But I have also been knitting quite a lot, so my yarn stash is definitely not at 20 kilos at least, but I have not been able to get under 10 kilos. That in 3 months I have not been able to knit up that much, but I have added together. I weighed all of my garments because I always do that, so I know how much yarn I use for them, and I've looked at all those numbers and added them together, and since filming I've knit up 7,479 grams, so 7.5 kilos. So I've knitted up more yarn that I've bought and ended up with the yarn stash that's now at 11.5 kilos, or 11,612 grams. And I also have all of my yarn in the Knit app, and I also let you know how many meters of yarn your yarn is, and that's 38,134 meters. So I have quite a lot of meters of yarn to get through. But when I look at it now, I think it looks like I have more yarn than I did in that video, but I'm pretty sure that is because when I was organizing my yarn in that video I just couldn't fit it all on this desk and on the shelves on the wall, so I had quite a bit of yarn also under the desk, and now I don't have quite as much yarn under the desk. I still have some yarn under the desk, but not as much, so I think that's why it looks more crowded on the desk and like I've not made that much progress, because less of the yarn is other places than on this desk. But that means that I almost reached my goal of under 10 kilos by June, because it's now June and I'm about 1.5 kilos away from that goal. But even though I bought 4.5 kilos of yarn, I managed to decrease my stash by 3 kilos approximately. And I thought my plan now is to just keep on working on my stash, because now I know I have so many projects in my stash as well, projects that I really want to work on. So I'm trying to not buy yarn for other projects when I know I have so many projects in my stash, because I actually do want to work on them. And if I just keep buying yarn for new projects, I will never get around to it. And it also kind of stresses me out knowing I have so many projects I want to get around to and then never really finding the time. So I'm still not placing myself on a strict yarn ban, because maybe for a specific gift knitting project I need some type of yarn that I don't have, so I don't want to place myself on a ban. But I'm going to be really strict with when I buy yarn, and only buying it if it's actually necessary for something, and trying to not just stock up on yarn for new projects when I already have so many projects in mind. But with that said, I think we can start with my yarn and my plans. Before we get into the specific yarns and the plans I have for the yarn, I thought I would just show my stash a little better. Here is kind of the stash that's in my background, but I also have some yarn here. This is my yarn that's like on my to knit list. This is what I'm going to knit with now when I finish my active projects. I'm going to cast on with this yarn, so I keep that in here. And then in here are my most recent scraps that have not been transferred to my scrap basket. These are from the projects that I finished most recently, so those live in here for now. And then I have my tiniest scraps. This is kid silk that's under a skein, or my thin merino wool, maybe less than 10 grams of each, I think. So just my smallest scraps that are really hard to figure out what to do with. And then my other scrap yarn is in here, and it's gotten quite tangled because my son has gotten into this basket and had his way with it, so I have to deal with that soon. I also have kind of a rule for myself that I'm never allowed to have more scrap yarn that then can fit in this basket, and as you can see, it is quite full. And I also have this one filled with scrap yarn, so I definitely have to figure out what to do my scrap yarn and use up quite a bit of that soon if I'm going to stick to my rule. So if you have any good scrap yarn patterns, or patterns that you really gravitate towards when you're going to use up scrap yarn, please let me know. I have some, but I do find it's quite boring to just knit up scrap project after scrap project and always using the same pattern. So I would love some new tips when it comes to that. I also have some of my yarn here. This is yarn for my Moby sweater, and some kid silk as well for my Porcelain sweater. And there is just no space on my desk, so that lives under the desk for now. And then I also have some baby merino that's going to be a project I cast on soon, and then some of this Drops Sky that I have from an unraveled project, and I'm not really sure what to make with it because I've never really used Drops Sky, so it just is in this box where an and I'm trying to figure out what to do with it, if I'm going to knit double-stranded or single-stranded, what kind of project this would be good for. And then I also have this box where I keep all of the yarn labels because I save them. I keep all the yarn labels each year just to see how many I get. And there I also have this abandoned project, this UFO, and I abandoned this because this was a scrap yarn project and I knit this far. I even did Italian bind off and everything, and when I was knitting on the sleeve I realized this is just not enough to finish this sleeve and knit another one. So I abandoned this project, and I know I can make it just knitting it up in a smaller size if I just frog it all, but that's very unmotivating and not very inspiring. So I'm kind of trying to figure out if I can make something else with this yarn. This is Drops Soft Tweed, I think, and I've not really used this yarn a lot. I've made a kind of Moby sweater inspired vest for my brother in it, but I don't really have a lot of experience with this yarn. But if you know what about 100 grams, 120 grams of this yarn can turn into other than just a sweater, let me know. This was supposed to be the Teddybear sweater by Petiteknit, but I don't know if it's going to turn into that anymore. But until I know, it's just going to be there, and I'm going to try to forget about it. Now that you've seen my whole yarn stash, I will tell you my plans, and I think we can start here at the top in my white shelf. Here I have some kid silk. I stuffed as much kid silk as fit in here. This is more of the kid silk that I also have under my desk, and that's going to turn into a porcelain sweater. It's going to be one of the yarns I use for that. I also have one single skein of Drops Flora in an off-white color. I have a bit more of this somewhere, but that's just a little scrap, so I don't quite know what to do with this. But maybe if I have some leftover kid silk, this would turn into a nice baby bear bonnet. I will just show the patterns that I talk about here or something, so you understand what I talk about. Then I also have quite a few skeins of this Drops Lima in the color Chalk. I really enjoy having a lot of Lima on my hands because I use it both for sweaters and socks and even some pants. So just having Lima on hand is really nice. I think this Lima is mostly going to turn into Sunday socks, but I also have been wondering about maybe turning it into some sort of suit for baby gift. So I'm not quite sure about that, but I have enough to at least make a couple different things. And this is one of the colors that I use quite a lot, so I just make sure to have some on hand, because I know it's going to get used. That's that shelf. And then moving on to my blue shelf. Here is the yarn I used to make my son's Ingrid sweater. I have 300 grams of this left, so I'm really hoping that's enough to make him another one, because I really want to knit another one in the child size, and I think that color just looks absolutely fantastic for the Ingrid sweater. So I would really like to make him another one in that exact yarn. So I hope that 6 skeins is enough. And then I have some of this yarn. This is Mini Alpaca by Sandnes garn. And I have 2 skeins of I have 2 skeins, but each skein actually weighs a bit more than 50 grams, so I have a bit more than 100 grams. And I really hope that those 2 skeins is enough to make the Ankers onesie in the smallest size, because I don't really know what else it could turn into, and I've had that yarn in my stash for quite long and I would like to be able to knit it up. Underneath that is also some more of Sandnes garn. This is their Tynn Merino, that's superwash, and it's in the ink blue color. I don't know what color this is, and this is denim blue. And I think this color is super nice, so I would love to make something more with it. It's the color I used for my son's Moby slipover. And I have been thinking about maybe making a Sophie scarf with it, because I think Sophie scarf in quite this kind of sharp blue color would be really nice. But I also think that this yarn would be really nice for maybe a pair of baby tights, or maybe even a wrap jacket for a baby would look really nice in this color. So I have not quite decided, because I think the color is so nice that I don't want to use it and then regret it. And then I have the scraps or the leftover yarn from the Anker sweater that I made my son recently, and that's just about above 50 grams, so I don't really know what to do with it. It could maybe turn into a hipster hat in the smallest size, so that's possible, but I'm not quite sure what to do with it. This is Drops Lima in their navy blue color, so I do think that could make a very nice hipster hat, but not quite sure if it's enough. Then I also have a couple of skeins of kid silk in denim blue, and this is going to be the pattern color on the porcelain sweater, together with Drops Flora, also in the color denim blue. And I think that denim blue together with this white will look super nice together, so I'm really excited about getting started on my porcelain sweater. I just need to have the time and the patience and confidence to start doing that pattern, because I know you have to do color work both in stockinette and also on the purl side, so I'm really kind of scared to get started on that project, but I'm really excited about making it in these colors, and I'm really excited about working on some yarn in my blue shelf, because I have more blue yarn waiting to get moved into my blue shelf, so I just need to work on what I already have there. But working down from my blue shelf, here I have some forest green Charisma, and this is going to turn into a Teddybear sweater together with Charisma in the color olive and lemon, but the olive and lemon colors are in my scrap yarn basket, because I use so little of those that I just use a couple of grams each time I make the Teddybear sweater with this modification, because the stripes are not that big. So that's going to be that. I have made that kind of modification on the Teddybear sweater quite a few times, but each time I've done it has been for a birthday gift for someone, so I'm really excited to be able to do it for my son now. And since I think it's a very nice sweater and I want us to have it for a long time, I've decided to knit it in the size 4 to 5 years, and my son is turning 2 years this summer, so I'm not really stressing about getting that ready because it would be quite big on him for quite some time. But I have the yarn and I have the plan. Then I also have some of this baby merino in the petroleum color. And I must say, I think this is one of my all-time favorite colors in the baby merino by Drops. I am really big fan of blue colors and also greens, so that might not come as a huge shock that this color would be really up my alley. I don't really have exact plan on what I'm going to do with it because it's enough for more than one project, but I do think I'm going to make my son a thin sweater with it, and then I also kind of want to make myself something with it, either alone or with a mohair. I think maybe the poppy tee in this color would be really nice, but it's not set in stone. I'm just kind of, yeah, using it when I find a project that I think it would work perfectly as. When it's that much yarn that it's enough for multiple projects, I don't really decide 100% what I'm going to do with it because it could turn into a bunch of different things. So I just work with it when I find a project that's suitable. Here I have some more baby merino. That's definitely what most of my stash is made up out of. This is the peanut color, and this is just a really nice muted brown kind of beige color, and I use it a lot when I'm making baby gifts, if I just need like one more garment to gift away, because this color fits with everything really. So I have made quite a few tights, baby tights with this yarn, and I think it's perfect for that. And I also have this little scrap here. I have quite a few skeins of this as well, so I'm not really stressing about having a plan for it, but I'm thinking it's probably going to continue being the yarn I use when gifting things for babies. I also have some more baby merino. I'm afraid to pull this out to show you because I think all the yarn would come toppling down, but it's this sage green color. I don't know if it shows up that well on camera. It looks a bit gray here, but it's a really nice sage green. I might have a scrap of it. That might be easier to show. And I use this color quite a lot as well. And as you can see, I have quite a few skeins. So with this as well, I don't really have a plan set in stone, but I'm thinking I want to make a kind of pant for my son with it. So this is probably going to turn into a pair of pants, but I don't know if I'm going to single strand it or double strand it, or what I'm going to do, or even what kind of pants it's going to turn into. And then I have a bit of pink yarn here. This is Baby Supremo, and it's the only yarn I have from Baby Supremo, and this is just the softest baby merino I have worked with, and I really enjoy this color as well. So it's 200 meters per 50 grams, so I really hope that these two skeins is enough to make the Monday suit in the smallest size. A lot of my yarn is toppling over, so I have to clean up my yarn stash again after showing you all of this. Here I have some more baby merino in the blush color. I also have some more here, but they are different dye lots, so I just keep them separated so I don't make a mistake and mix them up in a project. I don't really have a plan for any of my pink yarn except for this, because I don't use pink yarn that much, and yeah, I don't really know what to do with it, and I have quite enough yarn to not stress about finding a project that fits the yarn, because I know it will be more than one project most likely. But I just not like to keep a lot of different shades on hand, because when I want to make a gift or make something, I don't want to have to wait and order yarn and wait for my order to arrive. So I just like to keep a lot of different colors on hand. Then I have this color, and I'm also afraid to rip that out, but I have a scrap because I recently just worked with this color for the first time, and this color really grew on me as I was working on it. It has been in my stash for quite some time, but it's just been in between all these other colors, so I've not really thought anything about that yarn. But I used it now to make a blanket, and the color really grew on me. I really liked how it knit up, and it's just a perfect muted pink and kind of beige color. This is Desert Rose, I think it's called. So I'm definitely looking to make something more with it. And I've actually been thinking about making a knitted bra. I think Nakedknit has a lot of nice knitted bras, and I think this color would suit a bra really nicely. So I really want to try that. The only thing I'm a bit worried about is, since it's super wash, I'm a bit worried it will grow as I wash it and the bra won't fit anymore. So that's the only thing kind of holding me back. And then in this corner I have the rest of my white yarn. This white Flora, this is the not off white one, and I had quite a lot, and I'm going to use this for the porcelain sweater, and I had quite a big pile here, so I thought it's definitely going to be enough. I can just borrow a few skeins here and there to work on other projects, but my big pile of white Flora has definitely diminished, and now I'm almost afraid I won't have enough, but I do think I will have enough. I just need to not borrow any more yarn for other projects until I have gotten around to knitting the porcelain sweater. Along with the white, I also have my light grey yarn, and here is Drops Puna in the light grey. I made this together with Drops Baby Merino in the light grey color to make my sweater number 14 v-neck, and I have 3 skeins left after that. And I've not really worked a lot with Puna before, so I'm not sure what it can turn into. So if you have any good ideas, I would love to know. But I do think this would also make a great baby bear bonnet. But I can't turn 3 skeins of Drops Puna into baby bear bonnets, because that would be so many baby bear bonnets. But as you will probably hear throughout this video, if I don't know what to do with the yarn, it will probably turn into a baby bear bonnet. Baby bear bonnet is my go-to scrap yarn project, and what to do with yarn if I don't know what to do. So that's most of my plans for my yarn, is baby bear bonnet. I also have some more Drops Baby Merino in the light grey color. I have a few more skeins of this in a box, as you saw earlier, but these are the skeins that don't really have a plan, but you always need grey baby merino, so it's just nice to have on hand. Here is some other merino, but this is DK weight, and don't know what to do with this either, but since it's grey baby merino, I'm sure I will find something to do with it. And this is the skein in my stash I have the most trouble finding out what to do with. It's Gaelic wool. It's 55% wool and 45% cotton, and it's 50 gram, and it just says how many meters 100 grams is, but yeah, it's about 230 meters in one skein, and I just have one skein, and this skein is old, so I can't get any more, and I don't know what to do with it. I have been thinking I might be able to make a really cropped top for myself using it, and that might be nice because it's cotton and wool mix, but the color is really nice. I just really don't know what to do with it. So if you have any tips, please let me know. And that's the guy that's been in my stash for the longest. Then I have some of this Filcolana Merci in the color Bluestone. This is what's left after I made the Camisole No5, and I got this from unraveling a previous top, and this is what I have left. This my cat has gotten into, so it's just a mess. But with this I'm thinking about turning it into a t-shirt for my son so we can match. So I really want to find a child's t-shirt that's also 2x2 rib and kind of the same vibe as the Camisole No5. So I'm just waiting until I find a t-shirt that fits with the Camisole No5, and then this yarn is going to turn into that. So that's my plan. If you know any t-shirt pattern for kids that's similar with the Camisole No5, let me know. And then I have this yarn. This is 100% wool, and it's in this really dark, nice blue, navy blue. And in this pile I have exactly as much yarn as I had when I first purchased it. So this is 500 grams of this navy blue color, and I don't really have a plan for it, but I'm thinking it's going to turn into some sort of sweater or something, probably for my son. But just having some navy blue wool on hand, you can't really go wrong with it. So I have 500 grams of that. If you can think of anything this can turn into, please let me know. And then I have some of my swatches here. I really want to get kind of some kind of board, bulletin board or something, so I can hang up my swatches, because I think that would be really nice and maybe would motivate me to make more swatches, because these 4 swatches are the only swatches I've ever made, and I'm trying to get better. Then I have this single skein of grey Drops Kid Silk, and this will most likely turn into a baby bear bonnet. I can't really see anything else I could make with 50 grams of Kid Silk, so it's probably going to turn into maybe 1 or 2 or 3 baby bear bonnets. Then over here I have more pink yarn. This is Drops Flora. I have quite a few of these, and I think this is going to turn into, some of it at least, is going to turn into Camisole No7, because I have noticed this summer that I don't really have enough summer tops, because I want to wear knits all the time. It's my favorite thing to just throw on some something knitted, but I don't really have enough summer knits to be able to do that in the summer. So my goal is kind of to knit up more so I could use my knits all year round. Underneath that I also have this Lima in the same color, and this is either going to turn into a sweater or a suit or pants, maybe socks. Those are really the things I use Lima for, and I'm guessing this will be used for the same. And then my last pink yarn I have is this alpaca. This is Drops Alpaca. I don't really know what shade of pink it is, but it's pink, and it's a lovely shade of pink. And I think a poppy tee in this yarn as well would be really nice. but I don't know if I have enough because I'm going to use some of this alpaca yarn for a baby gift now, and if I have enough to make a puppy afterwards, I think I will, because I can just imagine a puppy in this would look really nice. And then in front here I have some more drops Puna, this time in beige. So I don't know if these two could maybe be combined to make something. I have 3 skeins of Puna in the light grey and 5 in the beige. So if you know any sweater or something with that, with stripes that would fit that yarn quantity, let me know, because I think that could turn out quite nice. Then I have some more alpaca. This is the color I used for my sister's Ingrid sweater, and I am left with 4 skeins that I need to figure out what to do with. I think alpaca for me is one of the hardest yarn to find out what to do with, because I don't really use them that much, but they are so soft. The thin alpaca here, it's just one of the softest yarns, so I do really want to make something with it, but 4 skeins is also kind of hard to work with. I think it's easier to work with kind of large quantities of yarn or super small quantities where your options are limited, but when it's like 150 or 200 grams, I really struggle with finding out what to do with it, because your options are limited but not that limited, so it just gets really hard to choose. And speaking on really hard to choose, I have some more alpaca, this time 3 skeins, so 150 grams, in this medium grey color. This is one of my favorite greys that Drops has, the medium grey, and I've used this as the base color for both my son and fiance's Marius sweaters, so I think I might have enough to make a Marius sweater with it as the base color, so I'm kind of leaning towards using it as that. Then I have some more grey yarn, just 100% wool, the same kind as my navy blue one, so I don't know if these could be combined either, if you have any tips. This I used to make my son's Carl's cardigan, so I have about 300, maybe 250 grams left, and I don't really know what to do with it, but I'm not that stressed, because grey yarn you can always figure out something to do with. And then I also have this grey that looks very similar, but this is Drops Charisma, and this is what's left. I have 3 skeins left after making my fiance's zipper sweater light. So again, my problem when it's 3 skeins, I don't know what to do with it. And then underneath here I also have 3 skeins of this medium grey Drops Flora. All of the Drops yarn were in medium grey, and this as well, 3 skeins. Impossible to figure out what to do. Too many options, but not enough. So if you have any tips or what you usually do with 3 skeins, would love to hear it. Then my last shelf is my brown shelf, and maybe my favorite. I have 3 skeins of kid silk, the same kid silk I used with the alpaca to make my sister's Ingrid sweater. Don't really know what to do with kid silk. 3 skeins is too much to just use them to make baby bear bonnets, so I have to figure out a use for them, maybe combining them again, but I don't know what that could turn into. Then I have my absolute favorite color, and this is golden brown, the golden brown that Sandnes garn has in tin merino oil, and this color no longer is produced, so I'm really afraid to use it up and not be able to work with that color anymore. So I'm just waiting on the perfect project. But the problem with this as well is that I have 200 grams for skeins, so it's really difficult to figure out what to do. And here as well, 4 skeins, another really big favorite color of mine, and it's the chocolate brown that Drops has. I don't know if this color produces anymore either. And 4 skeins with this as well. But I do think that I'm going to turn these 4 skeins into Olive's wrap top, or Olive's wrap and teddy pants. So I think that would be a really nice set together in that color. Maybe even I have enough yarn to make some sort of hat. And then here is just more Drops Lima that's going to turn into socks or a sweater or something like that. So I can definitely say that my stash is very baby merino and Lima heavy. Those are the yarns that I use the most, and I find that those are the most versatile. But Drops Flora is definitely growing on me and have been growing on me the last few years. But to the last few projects, the baby merino I have in here is going to turn into Bregnebukser for my son in the size 2 years, I think. So I have that here, so I just know I'm going to work on it soon. And then in here I have all my projects that I'm going to work on very soon. So my active project here, that's a test net. So that's I'm obviously working on that very soon because I'm working on it currently. And then I have kind of found yarn for a baby gift I'm making, and I've just put it all in here, so I remember what kind of yarn and what kind of projects I was thinking about. So this is going to turn into a onesie. It's going to be the Synnedrakt. And I'm really excited about finally being able to work with this color and this yarn. So can't wait. This will definitely be the first thing I cast on when I'm finished with my test net. So that's the plan I have for alpaca. I have 2 skeins of this down here, those 2. And then I have some of the peanut colored baby merino. This is going to turn into tights. And then I have some white flora with pink flora, and this is going to turn into a Friday sweater with pink as the base. No, with white as the base. A Friday sweater baby. I think this together will look really nice. And then my son has played with this yarn, so it's a bit messed up. This blush colored baby merino is going to turn into a Monday suit, I think, in one of the bigger sizes, because I have 3 skeins I'm planning to use. And then these are going to turn into Sunday socks. And then this yarn I'm going to use for Bregnebukser, for that same gift. And then at the bottom here I have some more Puna, so I have close to 6 skeins of the beige Puna. And then I have some white Lima, and this I'm going to use as a hipster hat for my son. And then at the bottom I have some other yarn I've had for a very long time, Drops Nord in the color pearl grey, I think. And I'm going to make penny socks with this, and I've had this in my stash with the intention of making penny socks. But I think it's 2 years since I got this yarn with the intention of making penny socks, and I don't have any penny socks yet. I have not even cast on. So I think I would be really happy if I had managed to turn this into penny socks by the time this yarn hits 3 years in my stash at least. That's kind of a goal of mine. And lastly, except for my scrap yarn, is all of this lovely yarn. Charisma in off-white and a box with kid silk. This is some kid silk for my Moby sweater. I hope this gauge turns out to be right. I definitely have to make a gauge swatch, and I'm so excited about this sweater. I might make a gauge swatch just because, so I can feel like I'm starting working on it. And then the rest of the kid silk in here is going to turn into the porcelain sweater. And if I have any left over of the charisma and the kid silk, some of the kid silk might turn into a baby bear bonnet, to be honest. But I also hope to have enough left over to make my son a matching Moby sweater. But I have to start working on it to see how huge of a yarn consumption the Moby sweater has until I know that for sure. But that's all of my kind of main yarn stash, and then of course I have loads of scrap yarn, but I don't know if I can get into the scrap yarn now because the video is already quite long. So I think I'll instead say, if you want to kind of go through my scrap yarn with me and kind of plan what to do with it, let me know in the comments and I'll do that. But I don't think I'll do it now because it's just so much, and I've already made quite a mess in my yarn stash, so I don't think I'll start with all of this right now. But if you want to see my scrap yarn, just let me know and I'll make a video on it. Hi, thanks for just hearing me babble along about all of my yarn and all of my plans. I hope you found it a bit entertaining, and if you have any tips on what I can do with my yarn or any tips at all, I would love to hear them. Please let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more from me, subscribe, and I hope to see you later. Bye!